The last two times I spoke, I actually had written materials, but today I'm so angry that I couldn't even write it down because that's how angry I am. You guys see this thing, it says press. Between you and me, I'm really pressed by what's going on. I'm oppressed by what's going on, and that's why I'm here every single weekend for the last 26 weeks, except for the one that I missed. And I will keep coming out here every single week, because here's what's happening to me. I am a member of the Jewish people. The Jewish people have suffered for thousands and thousands of years. It's documented throughout history. The last great persecution was the Holocaust. And so I have felt so oppressed by what's going on here that I have started comparing what's happening here to what happened in Germany during the 1920s and 30s. Because of the fact that I feel that way, there are several members of my Jewish faith who have literally written me hate mail. And today, a gentleman who happens to be a very high-level legal person in the world of New York City law, a judge, actually wrote me that I deserved to be in Alligator Alcatraz. And so I realized that because I was comparing what's happening today to Nazism, to Nazis, that was upsetting a lot of people. And so I realized they're right. This is not Nazis. They're not nearly as good as the Nazis. The Nazis would be ashamed of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller and all of the people who surround him, who tell him that this is a good idea. The Nazis were not ashamed of what they were doing. They didn't have to wear masks to hide their identity. They were proud. They felt they were doing the right thing. So he's right, my friend. The Nazis were much more organized. As a matter of fact, can you imagine how Hitler would feel if he knew that 1,200 people had disappeared? Where's your father? Back in Alligator Alcatraz. Roxanne's husband is gone. They don't know where he is. Can you imagine the Nazis losing somebody? Anybody? The minute they arrived, they got a number. And that number followed them everywhere they went. From the time they took their gold teeth and their clothing and shaved their heads and put them into a gas chamber, putting them into a camp, every movement of every prisoner. The Nazis would be so ashamed of what's happening in America today. The only big difference that gives me hope and why I come here week after week after week is because of all of these people, all of you, Betty. I come out here because here I have found humanity. I have found human beings who care about other human beings, who care about the earth, who care about what's happening to our beautiful country, America. I'm a first-generation American. My father was in Auschwitz. You know, these are all wonderful faith leaders. But the first time I spoke, the first weekend, I said I was brought up as an atheist. My father came out of Auschwitz. and said there is no God. And if there is, I want nothing to do with them. So I grew up as an atheist. When I got older and experimented with drugs, I became an agnostic. Now I'm not sure. Either way, what's really different about what happened in Germany and what's happening here right now? This is not Germany. In Germany, people were afraid. People were afraid to protest, like in Cuba. People are afraid. But here, every week, week after week, Javier is here. And that, Philip, comes week after week. So many of you I've seen week after week, Arthur, and this is what's going to save us. We are going to have to save ourselves. Thank you. Woo.